really appreciate the lengths that people will go to keep their plants alive, putting everything from like mayo to period blood on their plants, all in the name of plant parenthood. Hey, I'm Niba, and these are my notes on the top 5 worst pieces of advice for plant parents that I have ever heard, or overheard, or read. This is not your sign to try it out, but if you do, I'm not responsible for what happens to your plants. While I tell you these, I'm also redoing a makeup look with some flowers that I pressed. I don't have much of a vision or plan for this look, so we're just gonna wing it. As far as these facts go, though, I am a literal biologist. My family were farmers in India, so many years going to school for it, and many days inside of hot greenhouses where it was so warm that my phone couldn't even function. Now, I don't claim to be like a perfect plant parent, but I do know bad advice. And honestly, in my house, it's really just like Darwin rules, like whatever plant can handle my watering schedule and my caretaking schedule are the plants that get to live. But for more stories of botany, you can check out my socials. I'm at NotesByNiba on all platforms. And if you want to help create more stories of nature and plants, then you can click the link in the description to support me with a Ko-fi coffee. And if you want to support for free or support even more, you can like the video, comment the worst plant advice you've ever heard. And anyways, let's get into these trash tips. Number 1, starting off strong. I've been told to water plants with period blood. Well, first off, I'm going to assume that the person who told me this was referring to using their own period blood instead of like obtaining it somewhere questionably. I wonder if the person who told me this was trying to like prank me or something, but they sounded so serious when they were telling me, so I kind of want to take them seriously. And also I can sort of see where this would come from, like nutrients in the blood or something. But if you want pests, this is how you get pests. And I, for one, do not want fungus gnats that are going to be like the spawn of having bread on my period blood. So in conclusion, please don't pour your cup of period blood on your plants. This is the foundation concealer I've been using constantly. It's really, really great for people with melanated skin. And I'm in the shade B8. I'm really excited to try this palette out right now because it is made with a lot of upcycled plastic. Number 2 is to shine your plants by just slathering them in mayo. And this used to be so popular, like a lot of previous generations just really swore by this method. And all that mayo spread on the surface just clogs up their little plant pores, like their stomata. Imagine doing a mayo face mask on yourself and then just not washing it off. So this would make dust accumulate on the plant, and you're obviously just like leaving food out for the pests to just come and have a feast. So yeah, this often ends up just killing the plant. If you want to shine up your plant, a dry microfiber cloth will get you there. I made the mistake one time of getting one of those like spray bottle shine things, and my Monstera was not too pleased about it. I find that if you're doing like a symmetrical look, it's easier if you do both sides like at the same time rather than finishing off one side and then going for the other. This guy right here is straight up missing a leaf, so we're just going to glue that on. I want to add some little leaves to my eyebrows too. I'm gluing them down using eyelash glue, and I honestly don't think the brand of eyelash glue matters. At least so far, all the ones I've used have been pretty much the same. And then since I'm going to use like I think red flowers, I'm going to use this leaf because it also has a little bit of red in it. I wonder if instead of using like blush, I could just use these here. I think I should still put blush underneath it though, so we'll do that later. People just really love putting things on and in plants that they really shouldn't. And so number 3 is using raw egg in the soil as fertilizer. Unfortunately, that egg will not help your plants, but it will give a bunch of bugs a fun party time. I suspect that this came from the idea of putting eggshells in your soil to add calcium, but that really only works if you're willing to put in the effort of like grinding the eggshells down into like a very fine, thin powder, because otherwise it would take years for that to be of any value to the plants. But honestly, this entire process of like adding eggshells seems like a lot of steps, like just add pulverized limestone or a fertilizer. And at this point, you might be thinking like, hey, these tips seem like obviously bad. My dude, I wish it was obvious to everyone. These are tips that I'm hearing from multiple places. And then I did some research at Reddit College and Google University, and apparently a lot of people hear about these remedies. And if you have any ideas that go into this bucket, leave a comment and I'll definitely shout that out. Adding some on my brow bone. This is a 3-in-1, this is a 3-in-1 highlighter, blush, bronzer. It's very buildable, and I love that. I love being able to use the same exact object for a very dramatic look or for a more like no makeup look. The next tip is a bit more wholesome because it definitely came from the idea of just composting and reusing ingredients. One person suggested burying the leftovers of my food in my indoor plant pots. So like, yes, food scraps can turn into compost, but that takes a long, long time. Not to mention that plant and the pot are going to smell so disgusting that whole time. On a related note, a friend of mine had some aquarium fish that died, and he was told to bury their corpses in his plant pots. And I feel like there's a certain poeticness to this, but I feel like it would also just smell so bad the whole time. The struggle of gluing flowers to your face is always like figuring out the exact layer everything should go in. And this is the like Rare Beauty by Selena Gomez mascara. So good. Chef's kiss. Like pretty much my go-to all the time. This is one of my favorite makeup tools. It helps remove like any excess mascara that you might have put on. And so I'm pretty happy to just sort of like clump it on there and then remove it and refine it using this instead. And then my last trash advice is specific to Venus flytraps or just any carnivorous plant really. And there's so much bad advice out there. There's feeding Venus flytraps 3 times a day, which like in the wild, their traps don't even open that fast. So are you supposed to just like force it open and just like stuff food down their little mouths? There's also sources recommending to feed your Venus flytraps and other carnivorous plants cheese, which like I definitely do not recommend that. I admittedly did try it on my Venus flytraps and they promptly died, but it's hard to say whether that was like the cheese was the cause of the death or if the cheese was just the final nail in their slow death coffin. This is the Clinique Black Honey Lip Gloss, which is one of those shades that just magically looks good on every single person, regardless of skin tone, regardless of skin like texture type. I forgot to show my very favorite fragrance, Nikkei, but they have a really awesome like floral scent. So I think this is the final look. Let me go show it in some better lighting. I feel like I concentrated it a little bit too much on this side, but not bad for having zero plan going into it. So there you have it, the worst plant advice. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you didn't, please let me know why, because here we're always learning. I'll see you on the next page. Get over eye pulver. Do you want to eat them? She's like, I will if they're already in my mouth. Cool. What if my petals fell off? This is why I probably should not have added these flowers before doing the blush and stuff, but whatever. I'm working so hard, sleeping. This one looks like a tiny little butterfly.